Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Hope you're having a good week so far and that things are okay in the preparation for Pesach, this beautiful but hectic time of year. I'm going to do a quick Rashi from the beginning of Metzora, not sticking to our days of the week and Rashi's here. I'm sorry about that. But hopefully an interesting Rashi, a little bit more of a technical one today. Over here in the beginning of the Parsha, the Torah tells us about the purification process for the Metzora. We talked a couple of days ago about some of the intricacies and symbolisms of this process, the fact that it takes place during the day. We talked about the symbolism of the high and the low, the eight erez, and at the same time, the hyssop branch, the azov, from the highest to the lowest, reminding the person who spoke Lashon Hara, who had a certain level of gaiv, of haughtiness, that they should lower themselves, they should humble themselves. Part of the process of being able to respect others is the ability to humble yourself in their presence, or not in their presence. So there's some interesting linguistic piece to the next pasuk. So, of course, they take two birds, lakach lamitaher shtei tziporim chayot tehorot, two living birds, v'tziva kohen v'shtachat that tzipor echad el kli cheres al mayim chayim. One of the birds gets shechted, one of the birds gets slaughtered, and etatzipora chaya ikachota, but then one of the birds remains alive, and as you see later in the passage, it gets sent away. It gets to fly away. So these are two birds. There's a lot to say about the two birds and why they're juxtaposed over here, but either way, these are two components to the process. So one of the birds is set aside for later. One of those birds one of those birds is shechted immediately. One of those birds is set aside for later in the process. The later in the process involves the other implements as well. The cedar branch, the tolah string, the hyssop branch, all of these things that we spoke about here in Pasuk Daled get used along with the second bird, the bird that is alive, right? So Daled describes all the materials. Two birds, the eitz erez, the shni tolas, and the azov. Those are all the components. Now we start to break them down. Okay, what do we do with all these components? So pasuk Hey, we take one of the birds and we shecht it on a kli cheres, over a earthenware vessel, al mayim chayim, with water in there, water which is a symbol of life. And there's a lot to say there about the juxtaposition of the shechted bird with the waters of life, blood and water, etc. But one of the birds gets shechted. Now, Torah tells us in Pasuk Vav how to take the rest of the materials, the other bird, the eitz erez, the shni tulas, and the azov, and what to do with them. And Torah says, "At tatzipora chaya yikachuta," you should take the bird that's still alive, ve'et eitz ha'erez, and the cedar branch, ve'et shni tolad, and the string of the tolad, ve'et ha'azov, and the hyssop branch, ve'taval otam, and you should dip them, ve'et hatzipora chaya, and the living bird, v'dam hatzipora shchuta al hamayim achayim. You should dip them into the blood of the bird that was shechted from the previous pasuk over the mayim chayim, over the living waters. So I think we understand the point of the pasuk, but the structure of this pasuk, the language of this pasuk, is somewhat awkward. It mentions tzipora chaya ikachuta, take the living bird. Then it says the three materials. And then it says v'tavalotam, and you should dip them. Now, if I was just reading that, I would assume that it means you dip all of them. Oh, I'm sorry about that. My computer is now frozen. I can't get rid of this box. I'm sorry about that. All right, there we are. Oh, yeah. Look at this. My computer is going nuts today. Okay, so I would assume tavalotam refers to all of them. You should dip all of them, meaning the bird, the cedar, the tolas, and the azov all together, in the blood of the bird that was shechted over the living waters. So why does it interject again over here, vet hatzipor hachaya? It seems to be out of place in the pasuk, right? It should have just said, take the living bird, and eitz erez, and shni tolat, and azov, all four items, v'tavalotam, b'dam hatzipor shchuta l'mayim chayim. What's this interjected here? Et hatzipor chaya. So Rashi explains the structure of this pasuk because the pasuk is trying to teach us two things: one about the dipping and one about the bundling. Et hatzipor chaya ikach ota. The first half of the pasuk, what is it saying? Melamed she'ena ogda imahem ela mafrisha le'atzma. all these three items have to be bundled together. But the fact that it says, like a heading of the pasuk, the introduction of the pasuk, at the tzipor hachai kachota, first take the living bird, as if to say you're taking that living bird separate from the Eitz Erez, Shni Tolas, and Azov, because it's not bundled together. The three materials, the cedar, the hyssop, and the tolas, have to be bundled together as one, aguda achas. Now, that doesn't mean you don't also take the tzipor hachaya, so it's like a heading. On its own, a separate thing from everything else, take the living bird. Comma, take all of these three things and bundle them together, and taval otam, dip the bundle, and dip the tzipor hachaya, which you took separately, all of them, b'dam tzipor hashchuta l'mayim hachayim. Yachol kashem she'enam bichlal aguda, kach lo tiyeh bichlal tevila. Is it possible because it's not in the bundle, it doesn't get dipped? No. That's why it says v'taval otam ve'et tzipor hachaya. It interjects again the reminder about the living bird, that it's not just taval otam, these three materials which are bundled, but taval otam, the three things in the bundle, and the original thing of the pasuk, hachzir et tzipor lichlal hatvila. It interjected these purple words in order to remind you that even the living bird, which is not part of the bundle, is also part of the dipping process, where that explains the structure of the pasuk a little bit. I'm sorry for the awkwardness. Hard to explain structure and over here, especially when you're not in person and everyone's looking at the same text. But I hope you get the point, and I hope you understand how now to read this pasuk, which is clearly an important one. Thank you so much, everybody. I hope
Rabbi Weinberg?
Yes.
Have you decided how long, until when you're going to do this Rashi?
Yeah, till Friday.
Okay, so Friday tomorrow.
I think today is Wednesday. Oh
Oh,
gosh,
sorry.
don't scare me. Yes, till Friday, and then we won't have it next week or during close.
That's what we needed to know.
Okay.
Thank you very
No
much.
problem. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Rabbi, and everybody. Bye.
Thank
Thank
you.